Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Freeman, Realtor with Edina Realty.
I'm Steve Mohabir, loan officer with Edina Realty Mortgage.
And you're watching Time Tips. How's it going, Steve?
Going great. It's going great.
Good. So it looks like we have a different background today. You're at your other office.
We do. I am at the downtown office on Washington in the North Loop.
Nice, which I actually got started in the downtown office, so I still consider that my home.
Okay.
So, yes. So with that being said, with you in the setting of downtown, we are going to talk all things condos today, or at least a few things condos today. We're going to talk about the top 3 things that sellers should consider from a financing perspective for their buyers when listing a condo. Is that correct?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Drop some knowledge on us.
So this year, in particular, with the condo collapse in Florida, they kind of tightened up some things on deferred maintenance, things like that in condo world. So it's kind of the top 3 things I would think about when selling, listing, or even buying a condo you want to know about. Number 1, is there any litigation for anything, whether it be with the builder or the developer, some subcontractor, or somebody who did some work on the property that didn't do it great or something to that extent? Just knowing litigation, that's a big deal because that can affect the budget and put a strain on that said budget. Which brings me to number 2, the budget. How does a budget look? And when you get condo docs, sorry.
He's busy. He's a busy man.
I am busy. When you get condo docs, the first thing we look at is budget. Is there enough money in there to cover deferred maintenance? Are they putting roughly 10% of the annual budget into a reserve pool for said deferred maintenance?
Okay,
so
10%.
10% is kind of the rule from Freddie and Fannie.
Okay.
Most associations, I would say the bigger ones, really know this stuff pretty well. But where we run into problems is, the 4 units, the 6 unit self-managed type things that don't really have the knowledge. And then they go to sell and they figure out, oh my goodness, we're short on everything. So it's kind of looking at from a financial perspective, is the condo development in a good situation financially?
Quick question here.
Yeah.
So 10% in the reserves of the annual budget, correct, for deferred maintenance. Is
going into the reserve?
Is going into the reserve, yes. Is there a particular amount that you like to see from a lender's perspective in the operating budget or account?
No. The actual dollar that's in there doesn't matter as long as enough is getting put in there.
Okay.
That's a great question.
Okay.
You don't want to be negative, of course.
Right. Yes.
But most associations have some kind of reserve pool, but that doesn't have to be 10% of the budget.
Okay.
Sometimes, we just did air conditioning or something to that extent, and we run into it looking like it's short, but there's solid logic behind it.
Okay. Nice. And number 3?
Number 3 is deferred maintenance. Is there, things that are going to come up? Are there in the meeting minutes? Does it tell you, hey, we have a bad sewer line coming into the building, coming out of the building? Hopefully not coming into the building. Is the roof looking bad? There's a couple towers in downtown Minneapolis that are really tall towers, and some things buckle, right? They're tall towers. They're made for some cold and heat fluctuations. And is there some buckling or bowing of windows, things like that? Just know your property, right? Know what's happening. Pay attention to meeting minutes if you don't go to the meetings themselves, and kind of just be aware of everything in general that's going on, because you're the owner, right? You should know. What do you think?
I think that this conversation for me personally is super timely. Because I actually am the president of my condo association and I am hosting our annual meeting tonight. And we are talking about all of these things. And it was great refresher for me to know exactly and the rationale behind having a percentage in the reserves. So yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, I have a little bit of extra info and knowledge and resources than the average.
Sure.
I take that. But one thing that I learned very early in my career when advising my buyers when they were looking at the condos, I'm like, if you don't read anything else in this huge stack of condo docs, I want you to look at the financials because you want to make sure that you are not assuming a bad situation. So
yeah. And there's probably, we could talk about this for 3 hours on kind of rules and regulations from lenders.
Yeah.
But those tend to come up the most. Commercial space being another one.
Yeah. So can we touch on that for just a second? Because I know that I get that question a lot when people are like, what do you think of this building? And they'll name a building that I know is kind of heavy on the commercial side. And as we're seeing more apartments going up that may one day become condos that have retail on the bottom or commercial space on the bottom, I feel like this is a conversation that's going to come up in the next 10 to 15 years more than it probably is right now. But why do lenders care so much that there's commercial or the percentage of the commercial space in a condo building?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I can speculate on why they care, just because from the standpoint of how's the maintenance of this building going to go. Mm-hmm. If you have a grocery store at the bottom, you're getting a lot of traffic, you're getting a lot of wear and tear on the outside of the building, things like that. Mm-hmm. Some associations are set up where the commercial part is a separate association.
Sure.
Than the homeowners association. I lived in a condo at one point, and that was the case. Mm-hmm. But you share airspace, right? You share hallways and doors, and they're all part of the building itself. So lenders don't necessarily care so much about who's paying what and what goes where. They care about the integrity of the building and the risk involved with that. So kind of the rule of thumb right now, this has changed over the years, is 35%. You don't want 35% over commercial space.
Okay.
The good news on that number is it's gone up.
Okay.
A quarter. Also, commercial parking space does not count, which is a newer change in the last year, because sometimes you get a huge part of that square footage being, multi-level parking. Sure. Which is, call it a third of the space of the building. So yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Always enlightens me whenever I have a conversation with you. That's why I'm glad I get to talk to you on a regular basis. We make each other smarter.
Most days.
Most days. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Michielle, Freeman, Realtor with Edina Realty.
Steve Mohabir, loan officer with Edina Realty Mortgage.
And you've been watching Tea Time Tips.